So we're going to talk about how to choose your MDR provider when you're looking at cybersecurity as a service. So I have only 20 minutes, so I'll try to make this as short as possible, as brief as possible. Right. Question I often ask uh, customers is this. Let's say on a Sunday morning at 2 a.m., your stock, let's assume you have a stock, right? I believe not everyone has a stock right now, but let's say your stock provider calls you and says there's been a compromise. What are you going to do next? Who is going to do what? If you have to pay for the service, who is going to pay at that 2 a.m. on Sunday morning? And if you're not going to pay, do you have the skills, to fix it by yourself and the time, right? This is a very important question you need to ask yourself, because this is 2023, and the kind of attacks we're seeing are the attacks that can wake you up, on a public holiday, first thing in the morning. We're working with the customers for rest of the customer, and we did a root cause analysis. We found out that the customer was attacked 3 times within 2 weeks with just one entry point. The entry point was that they mistakenly exposed RDP on the management server through their firewall. So they had RDP access enabled from the public internet to a server without any kind of protection, and then the attackers found it. First of all, the Lockbit guys attacked it. They stole data, they tried to steal passwords, they deployed ransomware. Customer was able to restore, and restore their data back to what it was. Next stage, the Hive team also, got in. They deployed ransomware. They restored. Within the 2 weeks again, they restored. Another group came in. They installed an agent like TeamViewer or AnyDesk. They stole data, and then they also deployed ransomware. So all of these 3 attacks happened within just 2 weeks, and the only entry point was a mistake they made in their configuration for the ransomware. So we see the attackers looking for vulnerabilities in security products as well. So they're trying to exploit common products that you use, products like AnyDesk, TeamViewer, Putty, So they come at you with all these kind of attacks. There are legitimate tools like PowerShell, like PSExec. They would come for those RDP, VPN even, they come for those tools as well to use that to attack you. So it's not enough for you to have those tools that you use. You have to be sure that they have not been compromised. And that is where we run the risk of keeping the organization safe today. Then when it comes to the attackers, they target small businesses, because small businesses, they usually don't have the people, they don't have the manpower, to protect themselves. So you have 300 users, but then there's only 2 people in IT, and none of them is for cybersecurity. So they have to chase after the software, they have to chase after the hardware, the user support and everything, communications, ISPs, and all whatnot. So they don't focus on cybersecurity, and that creates a huge risk for the organization. They don't even have a stock, right? And also the technology they use is complex for them. So an average IT guy has to manage about 12 different OEM solutions, and where are they going to start from? They have other things to do. And we see that a lot more attacks are targeted towards businesses between 100 and 900 users. A lot of those attacks are focused on such organizations. We also see that the attackers spend more time in small organizations. So the smaller, your organization size is, the longer the attacker would dwell within your organization. And that's a huge problem. For those big organizations like the likes of First Bank and the big banks, the attackers will not stay long because they know that they will get caught. Because those organizations usually have large teams. They have stocks that are monitoring 24/7. So the attackers want to get what they can get and run away. But for small organizations where they will not be detected, they will spend a lot of time exfiltrating data, learning the network, and moving laterally. And that's why we did managed detection and response. What is managed detection and response? Managed detection and response is a fully managed service that runs round the clock. It's delivered by cybersecurity experts that are specialized in detecting and responding to cyber attacks. That's the keyword. Specialized in detecting and responding to cyber attacks, not protection, not prevention right now, but detecting and responding to cyber attacks. That solutions alone like antivirus and firewalls and email gateways cannot prevent, right? So there's no 100% prevention in cybersecurity anymore, right? But we need to be able to detect 100% and respond. So Gartner is predicting that by 2025, half of all organizations will be using MDR services. So let's break it down. What exactly do MDR services offer customers? First is human-led investigation. Of course, AI is always going to be there. AI is going to help with the detection, but you need humans to investigate, right? MDR services also provide threat hunting. They will go and look for threats before they become full-blown compromise. So they will look for indicators of threats. If something has happened, in another country in the same industry, they will go in there and search for it. That's the threat hunting. Then we have real-time monitoring. Real-time monitoring, they want to ensure that they stay on top of all those alerts that you get. So you don't just have 80,000 alerts sitting there without anybody coming through them, right? So those would really easily distract you from your daily work. The most important thing MDR services provide is incident response. But all the things I mentioned, they are quite good. It's like going to a doctor. The doctor tells you, oh, you have malaria, feel free to go. But then there's no response. They're not helping you to treat it. So incident response is the cure. That's the one where it's treated. The incident response will help you to stop the attacker, to remove the attacker from the network, and give you root cause analysis of what happened. Now, because there are many MDR providers, a lot of them will tell you, oh, we offer you threat response, and then you just assume it's incident response. It's not the same thing. With threat response, the job is to contain, to disrupt the activity of the attacker, and to slow down the impact of that attack. Right? It is not to remove the attacker. So they're not going to help you to do remediation and response, for example. That threat response is just to stop the attack and then leave it as it is, in most cases. Then we have incident response that actually helps you to neutralize the attacker, to remove the attacker, and to remediate, so the attacker cannot come into the organization again. That's incident response. So there are two different things you need to take note of. So with the various layers I'm going to talk about today, we have MDR complete, we have MDR, we have threat advisor. Threat advisor helps you to detect and to notify you. The MDR helps you to contain, basically provide incident response, while MDR complete will go the whole nine to neutralize and to help you with remediation. So when you're going to choose your MDR vendor, you need to ask them specific questions, about what's included in the service. Is it threat response? Is it incident response? How fast is the service? How many people are using that service? If something happens at 2 a.m. on Sunday, who's going to respond? Who's going to do what? Are you going to have to pay? At that time of the night, do you have incident response plan? Well, what kind of actions can they take on your behalf? You need to know all these things. How fast is the service? Are they plugging into, third-party tools as well? And what kind of access will they have to you? You need to ask important questions before you sign up to such services. Another thing we see is the confusion between SIEM and SOA. A lot of times when customers sign up to a SIEM solution, they are doing it for compliance. So maybe CBN regulation or NIST says you must have a SIEM, and then SIEM will help you to do login and analysis, and then it stops there. SIEM doesn't really help you to respond to issues, which is what you need. So at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, there's an attack, the SIEM is almost useless, unfortunately, to help you with the response. What could have helped you to contain, to provide some level of threat response would have been SOA. SOA is for orchestration and automation of response. SOA is quite expensive and quite complex because you have to integrate it with the various protection layers that you have, and that's the problem. Then you have XDR that sits in between. So XDR combines SIEM features with SOA features. So XDR can help you with some level of response and some level of cross-product visibility. But for that to work with XDR, you have to be using similar OEM products. Excuse me. What do I mean by this? For XDR to work, you should have the OEM's firewall, the OEM's endpoint, OEM's email gateway. Unlike the SIEM, where SIEM can plug into any third-party solution. So that's the downside of XDR. So you need to understand how that works. Now, the talk of the town is XDR. Everybody wants to have XDR. Yeah, XDR. XDR is extended detection and response, right? Which is quite good, right? Just like similar to EDR. EDR is endpoint detection and response for endpoints only. That's for antivirus, for your endpoint and servers. That's EDR. But XDR takes that visibility to other layers like the firewall, the cloud, the email gateway, and the rest. Now, why is XDR very important? Endpoint protection antivirus is not enough. There's no antivirus that can protect 100% That's why detection is important. So you need to be able to detect. When we talk about detection, think of detection as the CCTV camera. When you have protection, protection is like the gate, the security gate. So you go into the gate, there's a scanner there, you drop your laptop, they scan your bag, they scan you. That is the protection, right? But then it doesn't mean that when you scan the laptop and scan the bag, you can't see the intent of the person that's coming in, right? So the person was coming to the perimeter, the antivirus work is done, right? Now the guy comes to the perimeter, he tries to steal something or tries to, open some door that they shouldn't have access to. You can't see all of that. Why? Because there's no detection in place, and the protection layer has been invaded. So detection is like CCTV camera that monitors, the users wherever they go, and then stores the feed into a particular storage that you can then play back. That is how detection and response really, really works. So when you have EDR, you can monitor that at the endpoint level. But when you have XDR, you now take that monitoring to other layers, to maybe to the restroom, to the cafeteria, to the meeting rooms, and the rest. That's how XDR works. So the more sources of visibility you have, the better you'll be able to detect and to respond and investigate and respond. That's a bit of XDR. For what I've just described right now, XDR seems to be like a private jet. So you want to move from point A to point B, you go ahead and buy a private jet, which is good. So you don't have to queue up at the airport anymore and, do all that stuff. You don't have to, queue up at the airline and, wait for flight and stuff or upgrade. You just walk into the airport, pass the security and go into your aircraft and fly from point A to point B. But then, just after you bought the aircraft, you now realize you're not a pilot. So you need to hire pilots or train yourself at the pilot training school. You don't have the time for that. Or you have to also be the cabin crew member, the air host or hostess. You're not that, right? You have to be the aeronautic engineer to do the aircraft maintenance and servicing. You're not all that. So you have to now go ahead and employ all those people. Then you realize again, oh, you know what? I'm an insurance company or I'm a bank. I'm not an airline company. Why am I employing all these people? Why am I employing 2 pilots? I'm paying them to run shifts when I'm not an airline company. Exactly the same way it is in cybersecurity. So when you buy an XDR, you are buying a private jet. You have to learn to use it. You have to learn to be able to optimize and maximize it. Otherwise, it's better for you to have someone do it for you. So when you want to get someone to do the XDR for you, that someone is called MDR. Manage detection and response. So it's not just going to manage your XDR services for you around the clock. It's going to provide the expert to be able to give you additional value to also respond, because we can't do the response itself. So think of MDR versus XDR, the private jet versus an airline company offering you the services of a pilot, the cabin crew, the engineers and stuff like that. Right. But there are 2 ways to do MDR. You can do BYOT, where you bring your own technology. Most of the guys offering these are SIEM solutions. They allow you to plug into their solution, give you telemetry, correlation alerts and stuff like that. But they're very limited when it comes to response. Then you have the guys who are basically just manage EDR. They provide EDR services. So you must use their antivirus if you want to use their MDR service. And they only manage their EDR. They don't manage other layers. So they don't care about your firewalls and stuff like that. Then you have Sophos that's in between. With Sophos, you can manage what you currently have, or you can use our solution. It depends on how you want that to be done for you. So how we approach MDR service is that we look at it from cybersecurity as a service. What that means is the way you consume cloud services, where you have servers in the cloud, you pay for what you use, you pay as you go. You can also do that with cybersecurity. So with pushing your servers to the cloud, you don't need to buy physical servers. You don't need to provide space for your servers. You don't need to host them yourself. You don't need to maintain them yourself. Put them in the cloud where you're using somebody else's data center, basically. Similarly, you can consume cybersecurity as a service that way. So that way we can optimize your existing investment and help you to improve your protection and reduce response time. Extremely important. Detection and response time is very, very important, because the longer the attacker stays in your organization, the more damage they will do. So with our cybersecurity as a service approach, first thing is we provide you an instant SOC. So you have an instant security operations center that helps you to monitor and detect and respond 24/7, 365. can be managed by us, or you can manage it yourself. You have world-class defenses that can be integrated, or that can also work with what you currently have. I'll show you a few of those that we already work with. You have access to a team of cybersecurity experts around the clock, and then you can manage all of these visibilities through a single platform called the Sophos Central. So what this means is we're going to reduce the noise that you get in your stock by 85% so that you don't go after distractions. That would allow your teams to focus on their core strategic mission, the key strategic mission, and then it costs you less if you're going to set up the stock in-house. You're going to see how that works. If you want to set up the stock in-house, you need people, you need process, you need tools to be able to have your own stock. We're talking about you having a stock manager, a team lead, analysts, engineers in place, right? But in our own case, we're going to provide you all of those at a fraction of the cost. So if you look at the cost of you setting up your own stock, having the EDR, the SIEM, the SOA, threat intelligence connectors, compared to us providing that for you as a service, it's going to cost you much more than if you go with Sophos. Sophos will cost you about 10% of the cost you're going to incur in setting up your own stock yourself. And right now, everybody needs a stock. Everybody needs a stock. Compliance is saying, regulation is saying that you should have your own stock in place, and that's what we're going to provide for you. So with our prevention, which is Intercept X, we can protect you from 99.98% of threats. That's a lot. So we can reduce the noise. So there are fewer detections that are more accurate and more targeted. Investigation is done in less than 25 minutes, and in less than 12 minutes, our response team can begin to action and resolve the case for you. So what that means is we have a response time of less than, detection response time of less than 38 minutes. And all of that is thanks to our adaptive cybersecurity ecosystem. We have quite a number of solutions with the technology stacks. The endpoint security, that includes the endpoint protection, the server protection, mobile for MDM, encryption, that's device encryption. We have network security, that includes the wireless access point, zero trust, the SASE, that's the Sophos switch and the firewall, the cloud security for the native security, workload protection, and also the cloud series firewall. And finally, the email security, that's the email gateway for O365 and the fish threat. So all of them, they are threat intelligence from our Sophos XOps teams that include the Sophos Lab. They do the analysis and they help us build our product. We have the security operations, that's the MDR team we're talking about right now. And of course, the artificial intelligence team, they build the models that all these products use. So all of these solutions dump their raw, rich contextual logs into the data lake that we can query using OS Query. And we have open APIs that plug into them that can allow you to integrate with third-party tools like SIEM solutions as well. And all of that is managed from the same Sophos Central dashboard. So for customers who wish to get cybersecurity insurance is always good to help you resolve issues and also pay for your response in case of an attack. So getting that cybersecurity insurance right now is very, very difficult. They would ask you to provide all these tools in place. So you need to have MFA, EDR or XDR, backup, email security, patch management, and the rest. So if you don't have that, you can't get cybersecurity insurance. So we've been able to cover a lot of them with most of our solutions. Now for the MDR, the managed detection and response, there are 3 service tiers that we have. The threat advisor, this is very good if you already have a stock. You already have a stock or you have a third-party antivirus, you don't want to let it go, but you need Sophos experts to notify you or to detect what your solution might have missed, then this works for you. That means you have no Sophos solution at all. This works for you. If you have some Sophos solutions, then you have 2 flavors, the Sophos MDR and the MDR Complete. With Sophos MDR, it helps you with threat containment, threat response basically, the threat containment. It interrupts the attack, it stops the spread of that attack, but it doesn't really help you to remediate that, to remove the attacker from your network. So that means you're going to use Sophos MDR. We assume that you already have your own stock. You have guys that can do your response for you, because response is the most important part of MDR, right? So we assume you already have people like that to do that for you. So we just help them, point them in the right direction. They know what to do. But if you don't have such teams at all, like you're just a one-man mopo, you do everything, you are the IT manager and all your guys, they do everything. They're not focused. Then you need MDR Complete. So MDR Complete would help you with full-scale incident response to completely eliminate threats from the organization and provide you root cause analysis and prevent attacks from happening in the future. Also, MDR Complete will give you a $1 million breach protection warranty. So that means if there's an attack while you're using Sophos MDR Complete, Sophos is liable for up to $1 million in response cost for you. All right. Now, these are some of the solutions that we integrate with. You can see the endpoints, the firewalls, the cloud, software as a service providers, the email providers, identity network, a lot of them Microsoft. So because Microsoft solutions, we integrate with them out of the box. So if a customer has Microsoft solution like O365, they have Azure Sentinel, they use Microsoft Graph API, they use Azure and the rest. We integrate with them natively, at no extra cost. We use support solutions like Sophos Cloud, Endpoint, Email, Firewall, XDR, out of the box integration. Also with 3 months data retention by default. And if you're using a third-party antivirus, we integrate with them out of the box, right? But what you need add-on integration is where you're using third-party firewall that is not Microsoft, identity, network, email, public cloud that is not Microsoft. For those ones, you need an add-on integration. Also for network detection and response, you need add-on integration. If you need to extend your storage for up to a year, you also need add-on integration for that. Another question we often get asked is, am I under attack? So a lot of people, the next session is going to be about VAPT. VAPT is extremely important. That's vulnerability assessment, pen test. It's very, very important. You have to use, red teams and blue teams to continually assess your environment to be sure that you've done things right and that attackers would not have an easy access to get into your network. Right? It helps your level of preparedness all the time. It's extremely good. But one of the things that is missing is compromise assessment. Compromise assessment tells you if you have been breached. So if there have been indicators that there has been a breach within your organization before, attack has happened before, but then it's now gone. We didn't even know that the attacker, came and left the organization, or the attack is currently happening. Compromise assessment would help you to fish that out. Once we detect that, that takes you to the next stage. That's the rapid response stage. The guys with the experts will come in, the response guys will come in and help you to remove that attacker from the network. This is a fire brigade service. So whether you're a Sophos customer or not, doesn't matter. Even if you're using a third-party antivirus, we can still help you with rapid response to eliminate the attacker from your organization and provide you the root cause analysis. But what we want is MDR. Rapid response is a reactive service. We want you to have a proactive mindset. So we talked about the MDR service that can provide you 24/7 threat hunting, investigation, and response. So why should you go with Sophos? Sophos has quite a number of organizations using our MDR service currently. About 15,000 customers use our MDR services. Of course, we have over 500,000 customers globally. 15,000 of them are MDR customers. So that provides community immunity. So whatever we find in one account, we can leverage on those sources to search for those indicators on other providers' networks. We have the fastest detection and response time. Gartner's median detection and response time for internal SOC is about 16 hours, is about 2 days. For Sophos, it's just less than an hour, right? And the faster you can detect an attack and respond, the better for you. So because we're doing that for you, that frees up your IT capacity so you can focus more on your key strategic initiatives, which is making money for your organization, which is not you driving a private jet. So that gives you peace of mind. So you can sleep better, you can go on leave, and you can have confidence. You can say that your security posture is positive. You can say that you are not under attack, confidently. So you can add the expertise that we provide without necessarily employing somebody full-time to do it for you. So if you need expertise in any of this, we have that in place that can help you at no additional cost. And also that would improve your cybersecurity TCO because you're going to spend less. You don't have to spend on remediation because it's all included in the package that you pay for. I mentioned already we have 15,000 customers plus. The MDR is highly rated, is the highest rated on Gartner Peer Insight. If you check that out, it's available online. It has a 4.8 rating and the most 5-star ratings as well. In addition to that, we have what we call the Sophos breach protection warranty. If you're a Sophos customer and there's a breach during your tenure with the Sophos MDR company, Sophos will provide you response cover of up to $1 million. So that's almost like your cybersecurity insurance. Of course, there are things that you also need to do to qualify. It's a shared accountability model. So there are things that you also have to put in place for you to qualify. But when you compare Sophos breach protection warranty of $1 million with the other competitors who offer something similar, you start noticing, there are some details that don't really match. For example, some providers will tell you that for you to qualify, you need to have about 10,000 users. If you have less than 10,000 users, you don't qualify. For some, they'll tell you it's only in the first year. After the first year, you no longer qualify. Some will exclude regions like West Africa from being covered. For some, they don't cover servers. It's only endpoints, whereas the servers are, at the most risk when it comes to those attacks, right? So you need to also compare what they're offering before you sign up with the vendors. Is what you need is the breach protection warranty. Everybody needs breach protection warranty anyways. So it's very important to look at the fine details. Compared to the other two closest competitors for MDR, this is the reviews that we have. We have way more reviews than any other competitor because we have more MDR customers than them, and we have more 5-star reviews than the other competitors. To round it up, there's some of the OEMs using our products. So if these OEMs trust Sophos, how much more you as a customer. So a lot of these OEMs, they use Sophos anti-spam, Sophos antivirus engines. They use Sophos software development kits. They use Sophos zero-day sandboxing engines, the threat intelligence Intelix as well. So a lot of them are, popular OEMs that you know. Google, for example, for all the Gmail accounts, if you have a Gmail account, you're already using Sophos. Google uses Gmail to Sophos to scan all the Gmail accounts that come in. So in addition to that, we provide cybersecurity awareness at no cost to our customers. This helps to educate them on social engineering, phishing, and the rest. We do health checks, regular checks for them to ensure that they use best practice to configure their cybersecurity. And also we provide home premium license for every staff member, which is a free license. So every staff member of our customer goes on with one license that they can protect 10 laptops at home. So Mac OS, Windows OS for free. Your spouse, your children, your siblings, your parents, your friends, protect their laptops at no extra cost. And if you're using a mobile phone like Android, iOS, you can go to the Play Store, App Store, just search for Sophos Intercept X. Sophos Intercept X is a free antivirus for mobile phones to protect you from malicious applications that ask for too much permission. For example, a calculator that's able to read your SMS or use your webcam is definitely a suspicious application, right? So it helps you to analyze all those things as well and protect you from malicious URLs and files. If you want to know your cybersecurity posture, you can go to assessment.gs.sophos.com. Using the NIST cybersecurity framework approach, it will help you to check where you are in your cybersecurity journey, how compliant you are, and what else is left for you to be able to become compliant. So in a nutshell, we've talked about MDR, manual detection and response, talked about why you need MDR, because you can't do it yourself. You need the skill, the expertise. You don't have the skill and time to do that, so we provide that for you. We talked about the people that provide MDR, including Sophos. Talked about the questions you need to ask the MDR provider. We also talked about how you can get the best deal. So what you need to do now is to contact our partner, Promethean. Talk to them, set up a session with them. If you want a one-to-one session, if you want demos, if you want a POC, we can do that for you to help you understand what cybersecurity service can do for you and give you peace of mind. Thank you very much. I hope you learned one or two things today, and I'm available for Q&A at the end of the session. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Christopher. That was quite enlightening. I wonder if there's anyone with a question you could go ahead and ask. Preferably if you could just type it in the chat box so I can read it out to Mr. Christopher and he can respond. Just a few minutes to do that. Can we all hear me? Do I assume we have no questions and we move forward to the next section?
Yes, we can hear you. I think we should move ahead and
yes, we can hear you
together. All right, awesome. So if in the absence of no questions, we'll be heading to the next session. Next session is going to be held by, okay. So what happened? Okay, someone's saying here from Mr. Ali Atiku, what happens to me if my MDR provider is also attacked? Mr. Christopher.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So, like we said, there's no 100% security. You have SLAs in place. And you have a breach protection warranty in place. So those SLAs are not met. the provider owes you that much. But in any case, the provider is still a better alternative than you trying to do it yourself, which you can't possibly do. So everything is about risk. You are transferring your risk to a provider. Of course, there's a small risk that provider might get attacked, but it's like a 1 in a million chance. It's almost not going to happen. So yeah, if it happens in any case, you have the SLAs to fall back on and your breach warranty protection at the minimum. All right.
Yes, thank you so much for that. That was quite an interesting question. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other one? Does anyone have any other question? You know, I quite took much interest in the SLA feature of Sophos solution, which means you are transferring the risk to someone else. Okay, Mr. Oluwaseun says, what's the risk of compromise from within the MDR provider's access? Yeah.
Okay, so there has to be some level of trust in your provider. And that's why when it comes to MDR, you don't just work with anybody. You work with organizations that really know what they're doing. So an organization that is bound by GDPR, or you look at the history. For example, Sophos has been around since 1985, almost 40 years. And you have OEMs like Cisco, Microsoft, Google, Juniper, Checkpoint using Sophos. So if these OEMs trust Sophos, I don't think it should be much of an issue for a regular customer, because these OEMs, they don't take cybersecurity lightly themselves internally, right? They are listed on the stock exchange, so they know what they're doing. If they're working with Sophos, for, like I mentioned, Google, for example, Google scans about billions of email accounts with Sophos. How much more you as a customer? So I believe you have to, look at who you are working with and be able to trust them.
Yeah, quite right. Quite right. Could we have the questions coming up, even as he's responding to one of them, to any question? Let's have more questions coming up. I'll just give it 1 minute. If there are no more questions, we'll head to the next. Okay, he's asking again. Thank you for that response. What are the implications of the NDPR, since the MDR provider can have access to users' data?
Excellent. So NDPR itself is like it's a continuation of GDPR. So it derives a lot from GDPR. So Sophos itself is GDPR compliant. There are certifications that providers need to have, right? So you are not going to work with a provider that doesn't have those certifications. So Sophos has those certifications that would help you meet your NDPR baseline. So when it comes to privacy, data security, they are priority for us, and we have certifications to prove that as well. So you are going to trust those certifications, because, like I said, trust is important when it comes to selecting an MDR vendor, and you choose one that is trustworthy. All right.
And yeah, Sophos is definitely trustworthy.
Definitely.
So, would that be all? Are we done with the Q&A session for the Sophos MDR? All right, so let me introduce the next speaker. Mr. Damilola Oyedepo is a cybersecurity certified expert in Promethean. He'll be taking us on vulnerability assessment and penetration tests, just like what Mr. Christopher mentioned. And shortly right now, Mr. Dami, I hope you're ready. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dan.
Yeah. So, as Kachi has rightly said, my name is Damilola Oyedepo, cybersecurity expert for Promethean Consult. So basically, I'm not new to the industry of cybersecurity, which I'm a penetration tester. I've done penetration testing, comprehensive VAPT project for, top organization. We Promethean, we are not new to this industry. So I'll just like to give a brief run through of enlightening us about the benefits of VAPT, both as an organization and also as individual, some of the benefits of VAPT. So firstly, before I start, I would just like to appreciate the initial speaker, Mr. Christopher. Um, I really gained a lot, and it was a very wonderful session and presentation. I really appreciate that. So, uh, to begin with, let's say, do I need to give the benefits of VAPT? Do we promote incomes, or do we need to tell you the benefit of VAPT, or would you like a car to tell you the benefit or give you a reason why you need to perform a VAPT in your organization? So this is the question that I leave you to ask yourself. Moving forward, what is VAPT? VAPT simply stands for Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Testing. So let's divide this into two: a vulnerability assessment, then the penetration testing. So some organizations, they say, oh, I have a scanner, I have Nexus, I have Qualys, I have Acunetic, I perform a VA scan on my organization. So I don't see any need or any value for VAPT. I feel this is a very, very long idea, especially as an organization, because VA is so limited in scope. VA is mainly for applications, VA is mainly for softwares, VA is for network devices. But VAPT is much more comprehensive and in-depth. VAPT identifies much more vulnerabilities that automated tools or the scanner cannot give you. So to go for VAPT, this is like a proactive security measure that prepare your organization to defend or defeat cyber criminals. Some organization or some company can put VAPT as a single point in time action in which you're able to identify weaknesses, identify flaws, identify vulnerabilities on hardware, software, network devices, even physical security or Internet of Things, and try or make an attempt to exploit this vulnerability. So that is where the difference between a VA and a VAPT comes in. So once the vulnerabilities have been identified, we make attempts to exploit this vulnerability, and we report to you. And we show you all the parts in which how we're able to exploit this vulnerability. So this can also be used to test applications, test websites, test network, test physical devices, and hosts. So what are the benefits of VAPT to the business? First, preventing information loss. So imagine you have your data, in your organization, you have data, the CIA triad, which is the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability. So data must be confidential in nature, like it's sensitive information which should only be accessed by those who intend who the information the data is meant for. Also, data information should not be altered, and also it should be available for the right person at the right time. So with running this VAPT with us, we give you this benefit to prevent your informational loss, which means that we give you loopholes to find any place, any flaws in which a cyber criminal or hacker can be able to exfiltrate your data or can be able to have access to sensitive information. So we know that if you are familiar with the dark web, you can see that there are a lot of credentials, there are a lot of data being traded on the dark web. Like recently, we heard about this World Cybersecurity breach in which attackers were able to steal data like name, the driver license, and so many from a particular popular organization. And they, is anybody talking there? Okay, so they were able to steal or extract data from this particular top firm organization, that is their customer driver license, their customer names, their customer information. So I'm sure some people will be wondering that what can I do with this driver license? What can I do with this thing? You can do a lot. Like say, for example, if you're in the US, if I have access to your data first, I can apply for loan. If I have access to your SSN, I have access to your driver license, I have access to, I can claim your benefit. I can do so many things. Same in Nigeria, sef. If I have access to information, just like I am working in the bank, or let me give a practical scenario now. There's this, if you are familiar with this kidnapper that was recently caught in the Delta Warri State, he was once a janitor in the bank, and then how did he get his customer? How did he get his target? So whenever they print out BVN or they print out bank statement, so instead of them to follow good principle like they are meant to shred the paper, they just dispose them into the waste bin. So within those cleaners or those janitors disposing this trash, they have access to this customer data. They can see the bank statement, they can see the balance, they can see so many things. So this was how the criminal was able to build his strategy and build up his target, which he started kidnapping them and requesting for ransom from their hand. Also, it helps in preventing financial loss. For every organization, imagine you are a bank or a financial institution now, and your internet banking goes down or is not available due to one thing or the other. Do you know how much money you are losing? For every downtime, you are suffering a substantial amount of loss for every downtime you have. So with being VAPT, we help you find ways in which you can avoid downtime, like depending on the scope of work. We can try ensuring that you're not vulnerable to brute force attack or DOS attack or DDoS attack. So with this, before attackers start to use this against your network, start to flood your network, start to flood with several traffic, we help you to ensure that this does not happen. Also, we protect your brand in marketing. Some organization, there's what they call reputation sake. Uh, some organization brag that we've never been compromised or something, or we are one of the best. We are the most secured. We have the most secured environment. We have this. We have that. So how do you know? I used to tell some people something. Every organization, one way or the other, they've been attacked. So this century, this 2023 is not about, oh, I've never been compromised in my life. You have been compromised. It's just left for, do you know you have been compromised or you don't know you have been compromised? So with VAPT, we can identify loopholes and say that, okay, you are claiming you have a strong security, but there are still loopholes, there are still areas where compromised, you have been compromised. So how are you claiming they have been compromised? With this our DAPT service and also with the MDR service that suffers with thinking, once we detect that, okay, you have weakness, you can use these indicators from MDR to actually trace or to find the roots, okay, where and where have I been compromised. So this, let me call it a complete package, will really help your organization a lot. Also, is an essential part for compliance standard certification of your business. As an IT firm, you have to be ISO certified. If you are dealing with customer data, you have to GDPR, NDPR, and you have to do the certification. This certification process requires the governance and risks. Under risks, there's what they call risk identification. That's where VPT comes in. And VPT helps you to identify all the risks and threats that occur in your environment, both the inherent risks, the risks that you have to accept, the risks that you have to transfer to a third party, with our VAPT, we help you to identify all these things. And we also give you like a mitigation step for control. So there's something special about what we do. Some organization, when they do a VAPT, they just give you the vulnerabilities and give you, okay, yeah, maybe there's an outdated operation system or outdated application running your environment. They say you have to update this, you have to upgrade to a newer version. And to be honest, sometimes your based on the environment you are working in or your solutions that you have, upgrading to the newer version might not be compatible. So we guide you in that you might not necessarily need to upgrade it. You might necessarily just need to put one or two mitigation step or one or two security policies or one or two controls in order to cover this vulnerability. And you also mark these risks in your risk register. So even when you are doing compliance sake, for compliance, you have justification when you do your regulatory or your certification body. You have justification that okay, yeah, if we upgrade this particular Apache server or this particular to this version, newer version, and these are the benefits. Maybe if it's an application, the code will break. So, but we've kept this control measure. We've kept this control measure in place to be able to cover this vulnerability. And believe me, this can actually fly. So as far the justification is valid. So we're promoting, we give justification and recommendation based on your and the examination we've had in the environment, based on what we've discovered and what we discussed with your team. We don't just give justification because we feel that yeah, this is what Google says or this is what this scanner brings out. So benefit of VAPT to an organization is providing risk management and the organization a detailed view of potential threats faced by an application. So if you are doing a VA scan, we are just using um, automated tool like Nexus or any web scanner. So this will just tailor out. There's a particular principle that all these scanners follow. But with a comprehensive VAPT, we're able to identify like business flow logic. So sometimes attackers they might just be playing around with your web application and they'll discover one flow that they can be able to exploit. Scanner cannot do that. Scanners follow a particular procedure. They know what they are checking for. But manual review, we perform things like the SAST. We try if it's a mobile application, we decompile the code and we check. Sometimes some developers they add code passwords because it's developers they don't have time. They are building so many codes, so they just put they don't take into consideration security. So with that alone, if a developer, if someone an attacker has access to the source code, they can do a lot. They can see some hard-coded or edit password that they can use and it can work out for them. So we do the SAST review, we do the DAST review. So we do a comprehensive, we identify all the threats as possible that we can identify, and we are guaranteeing that we don't report or we minimize the false positive. So we review thoroughly to ensure that okay, this actually is what we discovered. Also help the organization in identifying programming errors that lead to cyber attack, maintaining multiple backups at different locations for redundancy. So also, let me just emphasize on this. Sometimes, okay, organization, you've invested in cybersecurity solutions, you have your firewall, you have your PAM, you have your data loss protection, you have everything in place. You even have your SOC environment. So how do you know that all these things are giving you, they are seeing the value of it through VAPT? I've done VAPT for a particular company which, as I will always say, their firewall was not properly configured. You have a firewall, you feel you are secured, and then I can do so many things. I can access a lot of ports are open to the internet, so many things. So these are poorly configured firewall. So when we are doing our VAPT, we help you identify this thing, and we also help or we help your team in configuring these firewall lapses. We help you strengthen or tighten your security. Um, Also protecting the organization data from malicious attack, unveiling data breaches with 100% accuracy and precision. So like Christopher said, there are lots of sites that help data breaches. If you go like Avoid Bond, you can check there for credentials breaches or email breaches. Check if your company email address has been breached before. There are several more sites that we check. We go to dark web, we check if your particular web application, maybe your login credentials is being traded on dark web. We also use tools like Showdown to also check, ensure that okay, yeah, your organization asset is actually free from the dark web. Also improve the data and financial security without breaking any type of digital data. Also, VAPT can help you improve your security posture. So there are two reasons why people do VAPT. One for compliance sake and for objective sake. So you might decide that okay, yeah, I want to see how strong my security is. So let me do the VAPT. And you can say that okay, yeah, I need this because of regulatory purpose. Let me do the VAPT. Also, like I said, can help comply with regulation. So this is our VAPT workflow in permitting, the information gathering, the external penetration testing, the internal penetration testing, the risk evaluation and documentation. So for the internal network VAPT review, these are some of the things we review and the network security designs and architect. Also, we check for configuration reviews. We know OWASP top 10. If you're familiar with that, you see that most vulnerabilities come from misconfiguration. Also, password complexity. If you try to put first your password, we check if, okay, we can actually crack your password if you have the hash. And we check for your policy review, your MFA. We've done VAPT, in which we're able to bypass or put first the 2FA authenticator we have in the web application. So this is a sign that they are using a very poor 2FA vendor, and we recommended that they change their 2FA vendor. Also, voice over IP, then application security controls and review. So for the external network VAPT project, we have a review, we have the mobile application penetration testing, the wireless network assessment penetration testing, the web application penetration testing, external servers, IoT, external network infrastructure, both if they are on cloud. We also do a pen testing for that, internet delivery channel. So for the physical security review, we do a biometric testing, social engineering assessment. We know that most centering points for hackers are always to social engineering, sending phishing link. So we have to do that. We send phishing link to your organization. We also have a program for that, in which that we can do social security awareness training, and we also send phishing link to your employees. Those ones are for them. We do training for them, and we give them certificate, and we can do this like monthly or quarterly, or it depends on the scope of work. Then also proper disposal of sensitive data, monitoring practice and access control measures, technical preventive and detective controls. So after which we go to the reporting, we have two forms of report, the executive report and the technical report. The executive report is strictly for the management, which has little technicality. So it's just a brief description of the vulnerability and the risk rating. But for the technical reporting, it's a very comprehensive report, which will show all the vulnerabilities identified. We also show the risk rating, and we show the parts, how we're able to exploit those vulnerabilities, the ones we're able to exploit. You note that some vulnerabilities we might not exploit them successfully because, especially if you are testing on your critical infrastructure, you will never want downtime. We will never want any exploit that will crash your server or anything. So we try as much as possible to prevent inclusive attack on your infrastructure. So then you can feel free to contact us. Here's our phone number, here's our email address on our website. I think that is all. I hope I was able to communicate to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Dami. That was quite extensive and enlightening. Okay, there are some questions already here from Mr. Oluwaseun. Are there any free or open source tools you recommend for VAPT self-assessment?
Yeah, so like I said, VAPT is a service. If you want VA, that is fine. There are tools you can use for VA. Although, did you note that there are also some automated, some solutions that claim for automated pen testing? So what I do in the debate is I ask your solution, like you have the Metasploit table, you have the coin impact that you claim does automated penetration testing. Can you do physical security? Can you do wireless security assessment? They can't do all this. But comprehensive VAPT covers everything. So why go for a solution that you spend lots of money, or open source solution that is limited to just one little scope, when you can have a comprehensive VAPT as a service with a very little amount of money?
Thank you. Mr. Romosre says, is there need further clarification on internal VAPT? Also, regarding the external, what tools are used for testing USSD and mobile apps? Kindly use Nigerian banks as a case study.
Okay, for Nigeria banking application, so it depends if we are focusing on the Android, that is the APK, or the iPad, that is for the iPhone, iPhone, the Apple. So first we split the application into two phases, the static and the dynamic. For the static, we manually do reverse engineering. We also decompile your APK to extract the source code. Then we use tools like we have the Fortify on Demand, the mobile version, which we use to run the SAST and the DAST analysis. So it's not a free tool, it's a paid tool, Fortify on Demand, which we use. Although we actually were using AppNox before, but it's quite expensive now. So, but I can show you that Fortify on Demand can also serve the same purpose which AppNox also do. So for Nigeria, we have your APK file. We decompile this, we do the SAST analysis, we do the dynamic, we run it runtime. If possible, we can ask for your test credential. That is depending on the scope of the VAPT. So if not, if you are not giving us test credential, we also try to run your APK file on rooted devices to see if we can able to communicate with the backend from using your rooted devices. We also check if your mobile device, your application. Also, we check through the Play Store and see if there are like privacy issues with your mobile application or any privacy violation with it. So in general, we do the SAST analysis, the task analysis, and the reverse engineering. I hope I was able to answer
yes.
that question.
Yes, thank you so much, Dami. Mr. Ramos, I hope that's satisfactory. If there are no more questions, kindly note that this you could also request for the recordings and the slides. Yes, Mr. Sheung, the slides and the recording can be sent to you on request. Also note that we will also reach out to you, to get an assessment of your assessment of the webinar. All right, we're already seeing good feedback from some people here. All right, but we'll reach out to you and also to let you know about the service and what we offer as a company, as Promethean. So we'll be getting to you. I hope you also consider to receive us when we reach out to you. Thank you so much. All right. If there are no other questions, we'll be ending the webinar here. We'll be closing this. All right. Thank you so much, Dami. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you everyone that joined in today. Thank you, Sharon. We'll be ending up here. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to collaborate with you more. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
In today's digital age, businesses rely heavily on technology to store and process sensitive information. But with this reliance comes the risk of cyber attacks. Hackers are constantly finding new ways to breach a company's IT systems and steal valuable information. And when a security breach occurs, the consequences can be devastating: loss of customer trust, financial losses, and even legal repercussions. This is why it is crucial for businesses to proactively identify and address vulnerabilities in their IT systems. This is where vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, or VAPT, comes in. VAPT is a comprehensive approach to identifying and addressing vulnerabilities in an organization's IT infrastructure. It helps organizations minimize the risk of a data breach, improve incident response, and increase efficiency. Don't wait for a security breach to occur. Invest in VAPT today and protect your business from the potential consequences of a cyber attack.